Hello everyone, welcome to my speedrun of Bloons Tower Defense 6 All True Expert Chimps. This is really excited to be running this game. So before we would get started, we would choose some hero skins. So this would ideally be a donation incentive. This one, yeah, this should be good. Cool, so yeah, Bloons Tower Defense 6 is a very popular tower defense game. It's still actively maintained by the company that owns it, Ninja Kiwi. The idea is balloons come onto the screen, you place down monkey towers to pop the balloons. So there are 82 maps on this game that you can do this on. They're segmented between beginner, intermediate, advanced, and expert. And then among the expert maps, so there are 12 of them right now, there are 4 in particular that are considered by the community to be harder than the rest. Those 4 being Ravine, Bloody Puddles, Quad, and hashtag Ouch. So what we're going to be doing in this run is playing those 4 true expert maps. And then specifically we're going to be playing the Chimps medal. So Chimps is an acronym for no continues, no health, no income, no monkey knowledge, no powers, and no selling. So you have 1 life, you start on round 6, go to round 100. And because of these restrictions, it's widely considered to be the hardest game mode. So the idea of the speed run is to speed through the 4 hardest maps on the game with the hardest game mode. So timing is going to start when I click this Chimps badge. So let me count down. So 3, 2, 1, start. So you might be asking yourself, wait, so this is a tower defense game, right? How do you speedrun this? Isn't this an auto-scroller? And it kind of is. I call it like auto-scroller adjacent. So what it is the balloons do take a fixed amount of time to spawn in, but you're not able to advance to the next round until all of the balloons from the previous round have popped. So you are able to actually control how fast things go a bit by making sure you pop all of the balloons as fast as possible. So that's kind of how the speedrun works. And you can kind of see as the game goes on, the balloons get stronger and stronger, and you make money as time goes on. Whoops. You make money as time goes on, and then you spend the money on upgrades to your towers. So there's a little bit, so it's yeah, so now what we're trying to do though is we're going to try to place down a very special tower called our hero. So as I mentioned, in normal towers you spend the money that you make to upgrade it, but the hero is a one-time cost, and the hero actually upgrades automatically. So we're going to get down our hero Etienne here. So Etienne is a drone operator. He has this drone that flies around and pops things, and you saw he leveled up from level 1 to level 2 without me doing anything. You can actually spend money to upgrade him, but usually you don't want to. So, and then heroes also have active abilities, so there's a button down on the bottom left that you can press to make him temporarily stronger. So we'll press it here actually. It creates more drones that pop things, so that's cool. And it does it for a small amount of time though, so you want to kind of use the ability to sort of push through some of the harder rounds, which lets you save up for more expensive upgrades. So for example, on this submarine, I want to get airburst darts. But round 21, we're actually going to we won't be able to afford it on round 21, and round 21 is actually quite hard. But what we can do on round 21 is just push through it with Etienne's ability, and that's going to let us upgrade to airburst darts. Yeah, so what we're trying to do now is trying to basically solidify our early game. So the early game, we define it as starting from round 6 to round 40. Round 40 being kind of a pretty big difficulty spike. This submarine's generally a very good early game tower, so we're gonna try upgrading it to the triple guns, which is pretty strong. Then we're gonna also get a second early game tower, which is a boomerang on the side here. I think we can talk a little bit more about Etienne. So Etienne is a hero. Here, there are lots of different heroes in the game. The heroes have a bunch of different gimmicks. Etienne's gimmick, he has a few of them, or he has a few things that he does. So there's one particular category of balloon called camo balloons. Towers are not really able to hit them without having something called camo detection. And so when Etienne gets to level 8, though, Etienne will give all towers on the screen camo detection, which can be pretty nice. It's a pretty nice bonus for that. That's not the reason why we're using him here. Another thing that Etienne does is that any tower in Etienne's range gets extra range as well. So we have like this sub. The sub has a range border, and the range border gets larger if he's placed within Etienne's range. So that's the main reason why we're getting him. There's a particular tower we're going to place that's going to really benefit from that. And you can kind of see this map is a little bit weird. So you have balloons that go from one side of the screen to the other. So like the balloons will spawn from the bottom and then exit on the top. Likewise, goes from the left and exit and then exits on the right. Because of the way the map is laid out, it's actually very difficult to get a tower that covers everything. So we're going to use Etienne's range buff to sort of put a tower in the middle of the map that will be able to cover everything. As I mentioned, round 40 is a bit of a difficulty spike. So before we've seen like regular balloons, there are also ceramics. Ceramics are pretty strong, but then round 40 ramps things up a bit. It brings out this big blimp, which when you pop it down, it has a lot of health, so it takes a while to pop down. And then when you pop it down, it spawns 4 ceramics. So here it is. We're able to handle it just fine, but sometimes if you're not adequately prepared, you will not handle it just fine. So that's now the early game of this map done. So what we're going to do now is transition into the middle game. So middle game, we define it between rounds 41 through round 80. The middle game is going to also transition into our late game. But a lot of times on these expert maps, what you'll find is that we kind of abandon our early game towers. So we have the sub and boomerang. We're never going to touch these again. I remember when I was first playing, I didn't like doing that kind of thing, so I liked making sure all of the towers I placed at the start were used, but it's not necessary. So you saw this sub. This sub can be placed in water because it's a water tower. Then you have this boomerang, which can be placed on land because it's a land tower. Then what we're going to do now is get this ice monkey. So this ice monkey is actually an amphibious tower. It was recently made to be amphibious. And what it also has, it has this middle path, which lets you create a platform in water, which is going to let us freeze the water and place land towers on top of the water. So what we'll do is we'll place this glue gunner right here. And so the glue gunner now is going to have this, it's going to be placed smack dab in the middle, and it's going to have Etienne's range buff, which means that it's going to be able to actually fairly effectively cover all 4 lanes. So this is the reason why we're using Etienne. And then we're also going to get something called an alchemist. This top path alchemist is really good. What it does is it throws a potion on a nearby balloon, or a nearby tower, which makes the tower a lot stronger. So in particular, by putting it next to this glue gunner, the glue gunner is going to get like a little bit more of a range buff, and it's also going to do more damage. So the glue gunner, the main idea of the glue gunner is that it shoots glue onto balloons, which slows them down. But then the top path also has those glue. It also has the glue do damage over time to the balloons, and as you upgrade it more and more, so there's various levels of upgrades. So there's tier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we get to the tier 5, it applies the damage over time very quickly quickly enough to kind of instantly pop ceramics, which is really helpful. Etienne now has this a new ability here, which is called the UCAV, which basically has this big flying drone that does a lot of damage to everything, which is pretty nice. We're going to use that also to push through some of the harder rounds as well. The next difficulty spike is going to be round 60, which... So you've seen these regular blue blimps. What we're going to see on round 60 is a red blimp. So what we're going to do is pop that down. So we got our something called a spike storm, which I'll explain in a bit. But that's going to really do some work with popping down Moabs. And then the next difficulty spike is round 63, which is a little bit different from the previous rounds. The previous rounds had blimps and regular balloons and kind of like a moderate density of those. But round 63 has three incredibly dense ceramic rushes. Ceramic balloons are pretty tanky, so if a lot of defenses for everything up to round 62 won't work for round 63, but because we have this glue gunner is actually like made for handling rounds like 63, so it'll actually be fine. Yeah, so I think here now what we're trying to do is we're trying to save up for our next tier 5, which is the balloon solver. So this would actually be a pretty good donation time at an actual GDQ run. When we get back from the donation, I'll explain the spike factory that we got. Alright, so what we're trying to do, a lot of times when you see people talking about Bloons Tower Defense 6, they talk about things called synergies. So what a synergy is you get multiple towers that kind of pair well with each other. So this balloon solver that we're going to get, or this glue gunner, this top path glue gunner in general, that really excels at is popping ceramics. So ceramics are fairly tanky, normal balloons. But what it does not do very well is pop down Moabs, or pop down blimps. So what we're going to do is complement it with another tower that does excel at popping down blimps. So the tower that we're going to use for that is we have this spike storm that we've been kind of using. What this does is it creates these spikes on the track that do a very good job at breaking open the outside of Moabs, which then lets our balloon solver then pop the insides of them, of the ceramic insides, very quickly. And you can see that we have the spike storm has this active ability that I've been using, which when I click it, it covers the entire map with spikes, which I've been using, especially when blimps are spawned on the other side of the map that we're not dropping spikes on, so that we can pop them down. It kind of helps accelerate the rounds. And then what we're going to try to do is, so we got our balloon solver, so this is our first tier 5. When you're playing this game, when you're playing Chimps in general, you should try to get at least one tier 5. We're actually going to now build towards a second tier 5, but that one being Carpet of Spikes, which we'll see when we get to it. So the next thing we're trying to do is so round 78 would be the next kind of difficulty spike, because likewise it also has two really dense ceramic rushes. Balloon Solver handles them like perfectly fine though, so they're not an issue for us. But they can be an issue in other strategies that sometimes you have to do some explicit things to handle them. The next difficulty spike after this is going to be round 80, so round 80 was going to spawn a big green blimp that has a lot of health. Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention is, so you see that these red balloons are BFBs, and we're gonna see actually a fortified BFB. So you'll see like some that have these stripes on them. So right here, these are fortifications, and the fortifications basically double the HP of these guys. So these guys have twice the HP of a regular BFB. So here we're gonna handle this the ZOMG, this green guy. And yeah, now after around 80, now 81 through 100, we consider this to be the late game. So in the late game, one thing that a lot of people don't know is that the Moabs actually get stronger. They take a lot more hits to pop down. So that's something you have to think about. And then also the ceramics become super ceramics. So the outsides take more hits to pop down, kind of with the trade-off being that they spawn fewer balloons when they actually get popped. This is to kind of reduce lag in the late game. But basically the ceramics are stronger and turn into what we call super ceramics. And so now what we're trying to do is we're trying to save up for this carpet of spikes. So if you recall, I've been using this ability, this active ability to cover the entire map with spikes. What carpet of spikes is going to do though is it's going to activate this ability passively. So we'll get it, and it activated it passively, which is very nice. It activates it passively every once in a while, every few seconds, and we can also activate it manually. With the ability still. So there are these barriers also on this map. These barriers actually slow this map down a lot because you're not able to hit anything from behind these barriers. So removing them is very important for making it fast, but it's also just very pricey to remove, so we can't really remove it until now. Then what we're going to do is get down a Mermonkey. So this Mermonkey is very good at... This top path Mermonkey will make our spike factory a lot better. It increases the Pierce. Round 90 introduces a balloon called a DDT. We didn't actually see it. DDTs have camo, lead, and black properties. And they move very fast. They're often very hard to deal with, but what you'll find is that the carpet of spikes is kind of made to handle that, so it's they're not going to be a real big issue for us. So here we get now we have our 2 tier 5s, so we're just investing in support. So the one support is this balloon sabotage, which is this ninja here, which is one of the best abilities in the game. It basically slows down balloons for a decent amount of time, a pretty long amount of time actually, and so we're gonna actually use that on 95 here. Just makes this a little more consistent. And then the next bit of support we're getting these transforming tonics. So transforming tonics, you have these alchemists. They are like crazy dudes who make potions, and then transforming tonic gives you some inactive ability that turns these guys into cookie monsters, which is very funny. So we'll see that on round 98. There are fortified ZOMGs on round 97, which are often an issue. So, alright, so round 98, so we gotta do this, this, and this. So we turn both of these guys into cookie monsters. Round 99 has fortified ZOMGs, or fortified DDTs, which are often a problem. And round 100 has this big purple guy, which takes a lot of health, but our Carpet of Spikes is going to do a pretty good job on them. Cool. Alright, so now we'll move on to the next map, which is hashtag ouch. So hashtag ouch, this map is kind of the classic expert map, I think. It has these 4 lanes that intersect in this hashtag pattern. And you'll kind of see that we're going to sort of barely be hanging on here. Balloons will sometimes get pretty far to the exit. And so what we're doing here is, so there's this big body of water in the middle, which you can technically remove, but we're going to actually make use of the water and employ a water-based strategy.
And
when you're doing a water-based strategy, you're going to want to use generally use Admiral Brickle, which is the hero that we chose. Admiral Brickle provides some really nice buffs to water towers, which is why we're using her. So we'll see them in a bit. She has some very good abilities that one really good ability that buffs our water towers, and then another extremely strong ability. Yeah, and sometimes the seeking... This dart... We were like at the mercy of the sub dart seeking RNG, which is kind of scary. Alright, so now we got Brickle down. Round 15 can be a bit sketchy. I'm gonna try to get twin guns here. Alright, we got it. So we're going to unlock Brickle's naval tactics very soon, in time for round 18. So what this does is this increases the attack speed of all water monkey, or all water towers, and it also allows them to pop every damage type. So it's a very good ability. And we're going to use it again on round 22 to kind of help push through that. There we go. So now we're going to place down our first monkey buccaneer, or I'm going to call it a boat. It's easier to say. This run is going to basically... The boat's going to be very core to this strategy. So... it is extremely important. These boats are really important. So, as we'll kind of see. So, what we're going to try to build into first is this destroyer. So as you can see, the boat has these cannons on either side of it. And the cannon, or not guns, it has these guns on either side of it. So it's able to shoot in two directions. So on a map like this, where balloons are going to be spawning in all these directions, it's actually really nice to have a tower like this so it can pop things in two directions, which kind of makes use of all of its projectiles. And so what we're trying to get is something called a destroyer, so with a grape shot. So grape shot will increase the number of projectiles by a lot, and the destroyer makes this thing fire super fast. So for its price, it's actually really good value on this map. So we'll get destroyer, we'll see that it will start shooting very fast. Now in particular, we need this by round 36. And then when we get grape shot, it's going to substantially increase the number of projectiles as well. So there. So this is and then for round 36, there's like big rushes of pinks, which can be hard to deal with, but this destroyer handles them very well. And now what we're going to do is we like boats so much, we're going to get a second one. So this one's going to be a bit different. We're going to get the middle path. For reasons that will become very clear later on in the run. But right now we're getting these cannons. The cannon ship, which is okay. I don't know, it's not the greatest. It's not as good as the destroyer, but it's not until we get to the monkey pirates where it becomes really good. Round 40, we'll be fine. We just use our naval tactics and it'll melt the Moab. Like that. So because we don't have Etienne, we aren't going to get camo detection on all our towers, so a very common way of getting camo detection is by getting this radar scanner village, because we really want our boats to be able to see camo, particularly for round 42. Alright, so now what we're trying to do is we're going to use our abilities and our setup to save up for this aircraft carrier. So the aircraft carrier, it builds on top of the destroyer, so it's still going to shoot in all these shoot a lot of projectiles in all these directions. But then what it's also going to do is going to add these planes that kind of fly around randomly. But shoot things, and the planes also shoot missiles at Moabs, so it's going to turn this tower into a global range tower. So we haven't... I guess the last global range tower we saw was the Carpet Spikes, but this is another one, and global range towers are very nice because you want to kind of pop balloons as they spawn in. So you see we have these planes, and these planes shoot projectiles, and they also will shoot missiles at Moabs, so this is very nice. And it can be kind of inconsistent because the planes do fly around randomly and sometimes won't hit things that you want them to hit. But it kind of compensates for it because the main attack on this is also pretty powerful. So generally the RNG averages out and it's not really a big deal. So the next tower we got is Monkey Pirates. So the cannons it has 3 cannons on each side now, which is nice. But the reason why we got this is specifically because of its active ability. So it has this harpoon, which lets us pull in and insta-kill a Moab. And so in the 50s especially, there are a lot of rounds where there's a Moab at the very end. So it's actually a really good way of accelerating the end of a round, which makes things go quite a bit faster. So there aren't a lot, and there's some towers that let you insta-kill Moabs, but this is one of them, and it's really nice to have it on this map. So we're gonna next get a Mermonkey. We saw this before. It increases the pierce. It actually makes our towers a lot better. Basically, it increases the pierce of anything in range. And then the round 60 difficulty spike is not really a thing because the Monkey Pirates actually lets you pull in BFBs as well, which is extremely strong for this kind of for a tower this price. Oh, whoops. Okay, that should come back. Ooh, so now we unlocked a new ability for Brickle called the Mega Mine, which is one of the best abilities in the game. We'll see it a bit, but what it does is you place it in the water, and it when a blimp gets close to it, it'll blow up the blimp and do just a ton of damage to it. So what people like to do in very high level, not speedruns, but high level Chimps games, is they try to stall out rounds so that this Mega Mine comes off cooldown. So you just saw it blow up one of these fortified Moabs. But what you can do is stall out the round so that you get this Mega Mine. You can like stall out the cooldown of the Mega Mine and then place down a ton of them. We call that mine stacking. So we're not going to do that here because we don't really want to be stalling here. But we will use the Mega Mine to kind of blow up some of the Moabs and try to accelerate some of the rounds here. Yeah, so here now what we're doing is we're saving up for the carrier flagship. Kind of as we do this save up, this would be a good sort of donation time. Alright, so we got the carrier flagship. So the carrier flagship is like the aircraft carrier, but better. It also has some extra features. so you can actually place towers on top of some of the platforms on it. It also provides an attack speed buff to all water towers, and it also provides an attack speed buff to monkey aces if we were to have any down, which we don't. We're not going to use them in this map. We will use them in other maps, but one of the other maps, but not this one. Carrier flagship. It's one of my favorite towers. It's very strong, but by itself it does fall off after round 80. The game is kind of balanced in that way. So round 78. So round 78 has these ceramic rushes, but one neat little trick you can use when you have Brickle is you can use her naval tactics for the first ceramic rush, and the cooldown for the naval tactics will expire by the time the second ceramic brush comes. So we'll see that here. So we have the first ceramic brush we use naval tactics for, and then the round lasts so long that we'll have it off cool. We'll have naval tactics off cooldown. So that's just a neat trick you can do for if you're using Brickle and you get to round 78. Alright, so round 79 has these BFBs and the fortified BFBs, so we're going to place down a Mega Mine when the fortified BFB on the top left spawns. So there we go, and then we'll hook in the second one. And then round 80, we can just use naval tactics, which is going to melt this. Alright, so the next tower we're going to try to upgrade it to is Pirate Lord. So Pirate Lord increases the damage of the main attack, obviously, but then the ability is what's most important. So it's going to let us actually hook in multiple Moabs or multiple BFBs, and it can also hook in 2 ZOMGs, which is huge, because there aren't very many towers that let you kind of insta-kill ZOMGs, but here you can see it pull in 3 BFBs, which is nice. And now here we're going to actually get a third tier 5. We're going to get another glue gunner, but this time we're going to go with the middle path. So the middle path, once we get to the glue strike, it's going to have this ability that it's going to basically rain down glue on everything, which slows down regular balloons, and then it also debuffs Moabs, so it makes them more susceptible to taking damage. So but here we'll see, here we can pull into ZOMGs, which is huge. But we can see here, I'll just use it here. We cover everything in glue, makes them more susceptible to taking damage. So, and then we're gonna upgrade it to the tier 5 version, which is the Glue Storm, which is the same ability except it just lasts substantially longer. And the nice thing about this is that it also removes the lead immunities from DDTs. So this Glue Storm is actually extremely important for DDTs. We're actually gonna... We really need this Glue Storm, actually. And it's a very common way of dealing with it. So here we'll see the Glue Storm here to sort of debuff all these Moabs. Then we'll use it again here. And 93. So you can use naval tactics also to pop DDTs, because our towers don't really deal with them very well, but we're going to... round 95 has too many of them, so... So naval tactics itself isn't going to work. So what we'll do then instead is use a Glue Storm, which will actually last through the whole thing. It is possible for me to brick this run in particular because if I mistime some abilities. Nice. All right, that was that was kind of good. That was very good actually. All right, so next up is Bloody Puddles. So Bloody Puddles used to be the hardest map in the game. Now I'd say it's the second hardest. It used to have this really miserable start with a dart and a sub, but the Ninja Kiwi introduced this new tower called the Desperado, which makes this a lot easier. So hopefully we get past this beginning. Right. So then there's a little bit of inconsistency in the beginning, so what we're going to try to do is get some snipers out. Snipers, when you place them down, they have like varying shot timings. If you place them down like in between rounds, then the shot timings are consistent, but if you place them down during a round, then the shot timings can be different. So what we're going to do though is, because we have auto start on, we're going to just place down the snipers and kind of hope that shot timings work. It's possible that we die and then we restart and then everything is perfectly fine, which is just how this game goes sometimes. So we get down 4 snipers, and so the strategy we're gonna do is called the Axis of Havoc. So that's Axis of Havoc is actually an achievement in this game where basically you build into 4 tier 5 or all 3 tier 5 snipers. So we're gonna get 3 tier 5s in this one as well. The snipers are pretty cheap, but the Axis of Havoc is more than just an achievement. Like, some of the achievements in this game are just difficult and just you have to go out of your way to do it, but Axis of Havoc is actually a really legitimate synergy that you can use to clear just a ton of maps. So I'd actually recommend just using Axis of Havoc if you can, especially on some of these harder maps. Oops, might have been a bit too late. Okay, there we go. So the hero that we're using is going to be Gwendolyn. So Gwendolyn, her thing is that she really loves fire, like absolutely loves fire. She loves fire so much. So she has this main attack, which is obviously a flamethrower, but in addition, she has a the reason why we're getting her is that she's what we call a support hero, so kind of like Etienne is a support hero as well, because he provides a range buff and camo detection. What Gwendolyn does is all towers, when there's an ability a passive ability she has later on called the Heated Up buff, where every 40 attacks that she does, she'll increase the damage of all towers in her range. So that's actually really, really nice, especially for towers like snipers. They really benefit a lot from them. And then, as you kind of noticed, maybe I don't know if you noticed, this map has a lot of lanes. It has 5 lanes that we're trying to kind of barely manage through. So this map's pretty hard. And a lot of times, what you try to, if you can, you try to get global range towers to like the sub and the snipers, but sometimes you also have to do like some what we call modular setups, where you basically put some cheaper towers on each side. So this is why we're getting a wizard here to kind of shore up the defenses on the left side. And then we'll get these glue gunners for a bit of safety on round 40 specifically, although they're also very helpful right now. Round 40, what we're going to try to do is use the sub to pop it down, but we need to upgrade our alchemist basically right before the round so that it drops the potions. Otherwise, because the potions that the alchemist throws can expire or will expire, and if they're expired by the time the Moab exists, then we will miserably die. There we go. So we're gonna get something called a discount village. So villages have there's this discount path in the village, which I would actually recommend using if you can. And what we're gonna actually do is we're gonna get 2 discount villages. So we call these double discounts. If you use them properly, or if you use them and you place a lot of towers within the range of these villages, then you can actually save quite a lot of money. So they're oftentimes they are worth getting. Yeah, so now what we're doing is, so I'm gonna get a semi-auto just for a little bit more damage. But then when you're doing Axis of Havoc strategies, what you want to do is build into the middle path. So once I get the semi-auto, then we're gonna go straight to the middle path sniper. So what this middle path does is it increases the pierce. So we have this bouncing bullet, which does kind of what you would think. It has these. It has these bullets that will hit a balloon and then bounce to some other balloons. So it's a pretty cool tower. It's actually a very good tower, I think. We're then going to upgrade it to supply drop, which is it increases the damage. It's just too expensive for what additional damage and pierce it gives you. The reason why it's so expensive is because in non-chimps modes it has an active ability that gives you money. But in Chimps, this active ability doesn't give you anything. It gives you a crate full of $0, so not very helpful. Then what we'll do is we're going to try to get Elite Sniper on this. And what the Elite Sniper does is it's going to increase the attack speed of this middle path sniper by a substantial amount. Then what it also does is it provides an attack speed buff to all snipers on screen. So that's the reason why you want to get it first in Axis of Havoc strategies, because of the sniper buffs. And then Gwen has this new active ability called the Firestorm. So I mentioned the Heated Up buff. What the Firestorm does is it actually applies the Heated Up buff globally, and it sets every balloon on screen on fire. But in particular, the fact that it applies the Heated Up buff globally when Gwen isn't attacking is very helpful. There we go. And so now we have that. Round 63 with this Elite Sniper, especially with the Alk buff, is going to not be an issue. So now what we're going to try to do is save up into our second sniper, which is the Elite Defender. This would actually be a good donation time in a GDQ run. So. Alright, so the Elite Defender is kind of everybody's favorite sniper. I think it's the most overrated one, but it's very easy to understand. It's like a medium amount of damage, very fast, so that's why people like it a lot. Alright, so we'll get that. Alright, so now we're going to start prepping our third sniper. So the third sniper is going to be first we're going to try to get it to a main Moab. So main Moab, what it does is it does extra damage to Moabs, and it also stuns them for a little bit. So it's actually a very good sniper. Favorite expert map on Chimps? I like Ouch.
Should we be scared?
Okay, so now we're trying to get safe up from main Moab. And yeah, round 78, the ceramic rushes with the elite sniper are, they're not really a thing. The elite sniper handles them very well. Okay, so when you're doing Axis of Havoc strategies, it's not really enough to just get down all 3 tier 5 snipers. What you need to do is you need to supplement it with some kind of ceramic cleanup. So the way we're going to do it, one very common way of doing it with Axis of Havoc is to get these bouncing bullet snipers that with an ALK buff. So for whatever reason, that actually does a pretty solid job at ceramic cleanup, so we're gonna be doing that. So we're gonna get 2 of them. You can spam these if you wanted to, but if we did, we wouldn't be able to necessarily fit them. Alright, so there are these line of sight barriers. There's this truck here that we want to remove, so we can spend $1,000 to remove it. Oh, so that actually created another line of sight blocker because the helicopter crashed. So we have to spend extra money to remove that. That's just a very funny thing that exists on that map. It's kind of silly, but. Alright, so now before we actually get to the third tier 5, so the tier 5 is the Cripple Moab, we're going to need to invest in a bit of support. So here we're getting another Glue Gunner. We've seen the other paths, but this time we're going to go with the bottom path, which is actually the best path. Specifically so that it's the Moab Glue. What that does is that slows down Moabs, and then on top of that we get the Relentless Glue. So the Relentless Glue is when a Moab breaks open, all of the balloons inside of it get stunned for a small amount of time, which is actually huge. Like being able to have things get stunned is a big deal in this game. So, and then what we're gonna do next is get Moab presses. We're gonna get 2 of them. What these do is they actually make Moabs move backwards every few hits, so it's actually really helpful to have. I'm trying to fit this one above this Glue Gunner, but it's not working. It's like the backup is to put it here, right? Yeah, and then so now what we're gonna do is save up straight into Cripple Moab. So Cripple Moab is like Main Moab, except it really amplifies the damage. And it also has a debuff capability, so especially for round 100, it'll weaken round 100 and make our towers be able to pop it a lot more effectively. And it also has like explosions too, so it has a little bit more pierce. And so the way that we've kind of set up our defenses is we have all of our stalling on the left side. This is actually a very common way of dealing with multi-lane maps. So what you do is you stall out one side while all your towers pop the other side. So what we're trying to do is stall out the left side, and then our snipers are all set to first, so they're going to pop down the right side. And then once the right side's popped down, then it can move on to the left side. So stalling out one lane to kind of turn a multi-lane map into like a pseudo single lane map is actually a very common way of doing it, of handling these multi-lane maps. And if you haven't noticed, this map has quite a lot of lanes, so like, it's kind of nice. Then once we get Cripple Mob, we actually don't need to spend any more money, but I'm going to because we're going to be getting a first strike. We actually saw the first strike in the previous map, but I don't think I really explained it very well at all. Basically, the first strike has this missile that does some very good round 100 damage. And what you can do is if you time it at the right time, when the round 100 BAD gets to the correct damage phase, then you can actually layer skip it, so you will be able to pop it without spawning any of the insides, which can save like a few seconds at the end of one of these runs. So here, I'm gonna try to, there we go. Okay, cool. So now we're going to do our final map using a new hero. So this map is very hard. It actually has definitely one of the hardest. It has the hardest start. So you have to place these dart monkeys very precisely. And targetings. And this map used to be impossible because until that Ninja Kiwi added this sword, which lets us pop down this one green that we wouldn't be able to pop down otherwise. Oh shoot! Got this. Oh no. There we go. That was unfortunate. No, dude. Okay. Not playing this one well. This is a hard map. And specifically, round 9, this dart monkey is actually pretty hard to do quickly, but I think we might get it. We won't know until round 11 if we've got it. Alright, so if we pop that down, then we've got it. So the hero that we're using here is Geraldo. So the previous heroes in the game that we use, they have kind of this main attack that gets better as you go on, and they have these abilities that kind of let you push through some of the harder rounds. Geraldo does not have that. His main attack is not very good and doesn't get better, and he doesn't have any abilities. But what he does have is a shop full of items that you can buy. And these items, so the way that Geraldo is kind of balanced is his items are kind of decent, pretty good value for sort of what they give you. And you can, like, so for example, we got these turrets, which are basically better versions of dart monkeys. So the alternative would be like to get a dart monkey or to upgrade it, but you can do it for a little bit better by just getting down a turret. So it lets you So these kind of throwaway early game towers, he has cheaper versions of them that are very helpful. Then one other tower that he has that's one other item he has that's really good is this glue. So you can oftentimes, if you're finding yourself dying when you're in a map with Geraldo, you can just chuck a glue down and then you'll usually survive it. So it's very, very nice. So the early game we're gonna use is Druid of the Jungle. So Druid of the Jungle is a very popular tower for newer players, the middle path Druid. Expert Chimps players don't really like it, but for speedruns it's also really good, specifically the tier 3 in the early game. What it does is it spawns this vine. This vine can spawn anywhere, but because it can spawn like at the very start of the map in a global range way, it's very helpful for speedrunning where you want to go fast and pop things sort of as soon as they spawn. So also pops leads. We're gonna do this. Now we'll transit. Now we'll get our next tower. This is gonna transition into our early and mid game. The Monkey Ace. Geraldo also has this potion that temporarily gives towers camo detection, or one tower camo detection, which is very nice. So this Monkey Ace is an interesting tower. So when you start out with it, it kind of sucks because the darts shoot outwards and often it's hard to have them hit things. You have to a lot of times do like some really weird flight path stuff to get it to hit things. But what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade it to the bottom path, which is the never miss targeting Monkey Ace. And that's going to make the darts home in on balloons, which is going to be very helpful. And this is also going to be our mid-game, one of our mid-game towers as well. We need a camo potion because there's some camos at the end of this round that we need to pop. The Druid can't handle it. Okay, so one other item that Geraldo has is these pickles. We're gonna use it once, but what the pickles do is they increase the damage of the projectiles while also reducing the attack speed. So there's a bit of a trade-off on towers that it works well on. It's good, but you have to kind of understand the towers to know the trade-off. Round 40, Geraldo has this one-time use blade trap, which can melt the inside of the mobs. It's a bit pricey. It's $700 for a one-time use thing, which is you don't want to use them too much. Let's just say. Okay, so now what we're going to do instead of getting pickles though is we're going to use this alchemist. So the alchemist kind of does the same thing, but doesn't reduce the attack speed, so it's often better to use that instead of the pickles. So so now what we're going to do is get another Monkey Ace. This one we're not going to get the never miss targeting, but we'll be getting the top path. So the top path, the darts are still going to shoot outwards and often miss, but the reason why we're getting it is it shoots this, once we get to the tier 3, it shoots this missile at Moabs, which does some pretty good damage to them, especially the tier 4 version. The tier 3 is actually not very good, but the tier 4 is pretty good. So this is going to be our second mid-game tower that we're going to use to sort of get through to round 80, or push through to round 80. So, yeah, so this combination of this never miss Monkey Ace plus the Operation Dartstorm is actually pretty powerful. Geraldo has these bunnies for $1,890. They're pretty cute, so we'll just buy one. We're then also going to upgrade some of these dart monkeys to juggernauts. Juggernauts are just really strong on this map. So the actual spike that it has is not... It doesn't do very much damage, but what it does do is it has some good pierce, so it goes through a lot of balloons and it knocks them back. So we're kind of going to use it in the late game actually for a very cheap price to help stall out ceramics. We'll also get a second bunny because that's just how cute they are. Actually, we'll even get a third one. We've just spent almost $6,000 just for 3 cute bunnies, so worthy trade-off, if I may say so myself. Oh yeah, and these juggernauts are really good on maps that have barriers because the spike balls will bounce off of the barriers. Yeah, so in round 59, we're gonna actually get a 4th bunny, which turns this bunny into this monster that pops everything. So it's I think it's a reference apparently to Monty Python and the Holy Grail, where there's this bunny that like jumps around and bites people's heads off. So it's kind of funny. And it's in particular what this excels as. It does very good ceramic cleanup. It also has global range, although the way it jumps is very random. But for rounds like 63, it's going to, like, we're going to see on 63, it does a very good job at breaking down the ceramics. So it's this is our 3rd mid-game tower. So in addition to our 2 monkey aces. And then what we're going to do next is when Geraldo gets to level 13, his turrets are going to get upgraded, so they're going to actually do very good damage and pierce for their price. So what we'll do is we'll try actually spamming those out when we can. So starting on round 67. But in the meantime, I think this is this would be, in a GDQ setting, would be a very good donation time. Run an ad.
Welcome back. Yes, we're having fun now.
Alright, so round 75 can actually be kind of sketchy. In this map, the ceramic rushes are actually going to be kind of a problem. We need to go a bit out of our way a bit more to handle it. In round 75, we're gonna kind of just hope that we don't die. So let's all hope together. Oh, let's chuck a glue up here as well. Alright, and then for round 78, what we're going to do is we're going to get these creepy idols. So the creepy idols are very good. What they do is they blow back and they stall. They blow back regular balloons and they stall blimps at this level, so it's they're very, very strong. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna also try to get down a glue, time our glue, some glues to slow down the ceramic rushes, which is not super cool. I think it's when you get to like $38,200 is when I want to place the next glue. So here. There we go. And so you see we have a lot of money saved up. The reason why is we're trying to upgrade to Sky Shredder. Sky Shredder is like the Operation Dartstorm, but just a lot better. It's basically bigger missiles, more darts. It's faster attack speed like this. Okay. No! What? Really? Alright, so now Geraldo has these upgraded spikes, which are really good. So, we're gonna just spam those out as much as we possibly can. He also has these turrets off cooldown. Or not off cooldown, off every time they refresh. They refresh every few rounds, so... I don't know why round 80 is like inconsistent now. It's weird. So now what we're gonna do is invest in some support. The first support tower we're gonna get is this overclock. The overclock is very good. What it does is it increases the attack speed of a single tower that you choose by a lot. It is very strong. So actually I should have gotten it earlier. But it's okay, we can then overclock with this. So we're going to use it on our Sky Shredder, which is going to make it quite a lot better. Particularly with these like ZOMGs, so... Alright, get Relentless. The next support tower we're going to get is a mortar. Oh, and also we want to use... Geraldo has a shop refresh that we kind of want to use as many of his items as possible for that. Alright, so the next thing we're gonna get is a mortar. So what this mortar does is we're trying to get a Shattering Shells mortar. What that does is that'll defortify. It'll defortify fortified Moabs. So. Oops, I forgot to get it. Alright, and then we're gonna do some overclocks to get of our Monkey Ace to get through some of the harder rounds. Alright, and let's get genies, which are very good, and then we're going to then kind of keep things at bay with some blade traps. Ah. And then round 100. Nice. Alright, so what we did there is Geraldo has these rejuve potions. So what they do is they eliminate your cooldowns, and what that does is you can use the first strike, get rid of the cooldown, use another first strike, get rid of the cooldown, and then use another first strike. So you can use 3 first strikes, which really speeds up round 100, so that's very nice. Cool, that's a pretty good time. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. That's my speed run of all true expert chimps.